Okay, we start with part 2, connecting the meta manager with the domain controller as you give the credential of the cluster domain, the user that we create. Now it's going to restart. It's connected. It's going to restart. Now it's going to restart. Everything is connected. The dynamic and the static network always have a conflict in my machine. I don't know on the other machines. It's restarting and connecting with the domain controller. It may take some time, so I'm going to pause this one. Okay, now let's log in on node 4 with the domain user. That is, it is under the meta manager. The domain user is cluster admin, the one that we created. Next. I'm sorry. Maybe the password. Yep. Wrong password. So now domain controller and node 4 are connected. We can log in with the same user on different machine. As you see, the VMware is the building, and those nodes are the different computers inside that building. So you can communicate one machine to the other machine easily under the same domain. From this, we're going to create a cluster admin as a window level failover cluster. To create a window level failover cluster, we have to go to the domain controller and create disks there and initiate those disks in the other node 4. Then node 4 can use disks from shared disk, especially known as SAN disk. We're going to create that and create the failover cluster manager, validate it, then we can have the window level failover cluster after we create the domain disk and the failover cluster manager. Until this one finish, I'm going to pause here. Okay, now as you see, guys, I log in with the new user to Node 4. You can see here which user is this. If you see, this user is admin cluster, the one that we create on the domain controller. So now we're going to create disk. Disks are created from the domain controller as a shared disk. So I'm going to log in on the domain controller, and this is admin cluster. This one is admin cluster too. Both of them are logging as admin cluster on both machines. So I'm now going to create a disk in the domain controller. That means. Okay, this is my domain controller. To create disk, I have to go to Files and Storage Service. Click that. You see different options here. We need the iSCSI role. Click iSCSI. If you see here, to install iSCSI target server, start the add role and features wizard. I can start the add role and features wizard from here or from the one that I was doing earlier. This is the best way. So I go with this one. This is about installing the file storage services. Just don't do anything here, just next. It's all set, install. This may take some minutes. Okay, now this installation complete. I mean the addition of iSCSI role. Okay, to create a new iSCSI, we have to go to task, new virtual disk, iSCSI disk, new, okay. Select anything is, this one is the default. So we will go with the default. TF is the file. I have 12.3 GB free out of 24 capacity. I put 25 for this cluster domain. For the domain controller, I put 25 hard disk. So out of this, I have 12.3 GB. I'm going to take some from this for the new shared disk. This one I'm planning to have MSTDC, for MSTDC disk. Next, I need 256 megabytes. I don't need much for this one. Dynamic expanding. It will grab the space when it needs. Otherwise, I choose dynamically for allocation. Next, new iSCSI target. Next, okay, the target name. This is for cluster, or we can say MGR cluster. Cluster manager or MGR cluster, manager cluster, well, it doesn't matter, it's name. Next, So now at the target servers that they're gonna use this disk. I have one node. I will add that node. To add that, I'm gonna use IP address. Look at this, enter IP address. I'm gonna connect with the IP address. We have different options, but I chose IP address 192. My target is 168.1.101 is my target, node 4. This the static address of node 4. Okay. If I have more nodes, I have to add the same way, add node, and the same thing, the IP address. For example, I have node 3. I don't know if it can work. Let me turn it on. Then I can add node 3 with this one. That means I have scarcity of space and memory plus CPU, scarcity of resources at all. So I'm turning that on. So I'm going to put the IP address of that to make part of this target servers. But think if I'm going to add this one with this, I have to have this node with this domain. So basically, it's not going to work. It's not going to be added to this domain. It's not under the same domain. This one is, node 3 is under the domain cluster under this domain. So I don't want to waste my time. Just cancel the addition. I'm going to go with node 4 only. If I have more nodes under this domain, I can add the same way. Next. I don't do anything here, just next. This is the information that I inserted or added, so great. Now it is creating the shared disk for the first time. Perfect, it goes, close. Then I can add more disks by doing the same thing, new. Let me add one more disk to make it full screen. Let me maximize. I don't do anything here. Just next. This one, another disk name. Let's say I need for quorum. If I need quorum disk. The same thing, 256 megabyte. I don't allocate or I don't fix the space, it's dynamic. Next, I'm gonna add under the same MG cluster, under this one. So I don't need to create a new target. My target is just node 4. And if you have another nodes like what I said, you have to add under this one. So you don't need to create another target. Next, same thing, if you see the same way, just create, as simple as this. I create another disk. Done. You can add as much as you want to create disks. That is the shared disk. If you have a plan to put under, if you are a DBA, if you have a plan to put your server, your log file, data file, tempdb, and others on separate, you can create this for every part and put on those disks. For now, I'm done with this one. I don't need more. So go ahead, close this one. I have 2 disks. That's enough for demonstration. So now I'm gonna go to node 4 and initiate those disks. I create them here and I'm gonna initiate on node 4. Okay, you have to log into this one. It sleeps very fast. Initiate the disks that I already created. Go to tools, then initiate iSCSI initiator. Click this one. Yes, first time. Just wait a little bit. Okay, now I have to put the IP address of my disks. Where are my disks? Domain controller. Domain controller IP address is 192.168.1.100. Click connect. I found my disks. You see MGR cluster target. Done. Initiated. My disks are connected now. Now go ahead, turn online those disks. To turn those disks online, you need to go ahead, what it is, computer management. Go to computer management. Click that. Here is your computer management. So we need to go to the disk management right here, disk management. I'm going to turn this online. Then I can have those disks on this one. Right now they are not online. Disk 1 and disk 2. I create 2 disks. They are not online. This is my C drive. Those are the shared disk that I create. So I have to turn them online. They are turned to online, but they are not initialized. I'm going to turn this one, initialize disk. MGR master record. Yes. It turned online. So it is unallocated. Now I have to allocate. How? New simple, right click on that space and new simple volume. Next, all the space, I want to allocate them. Assign, you can go with the default. This is the letter, the drive letter, label E. Then this one is, let's say, is one of the master and the MSTDC and the quorum. So MSTDC disk. Click next, finish. Now this one is initialized and allocated plus formatted. MSTDC E. Same thing for disk number 2, the quorum. Online, initialize. Okay. Then format, new volume. Next, F, next, volume name quorum drive. Next, finish. Okay. Now we have everything set. We have our disks on node 4. Just go ahead, close it. So now what we left is just create the cluster manager. To create the cluster manager, go to Tools, Failover Cluster Manager. Everything is under Tools. You can access them either way, but you have to, the easiest way is from here. So Failover Cluster Manager, click that. Now it's going to start. Right now we don't have any created failover cluster manager, so we need to validate. And create the failover cluster manager. Go to validate, or you can go ahead, create and validate at the same time, but we need to validate now. Next. So here you have to add the servers that you need to validate with this node. If you have more than 3-4 nodes, add them up here. I'm going to add node 4. I don't have any other nodes. I just have node 4, but you have to add all the servers that are related with this one. Add. It's going to add node 4. Now it is using the network static and dynamic. So sometimes there is a conflict with the static and dynamic as like what I said earlier. So now it is added. Go ahead, next. Run as recommended. Go ahead, run it. It's going to check everything, the system, the disk, the network, everything. Let's go ahead, next. See what's going to happen. It's checking everything. Everything is green. That's good, but it's not yet done. It may take some time, so I'm going to pause you guys here. In most cases, the static and dynamic network have conflicts. So please try this under no connection with Wi-Fi, with any cable networks. If you try with no network, you will see the result. For now, I'm going to disconnect here because the static network make this one fail. See, not applicable, this part. That is the disk to be validated. And I have another problem here too. You can check what are the problems going on here. Warning, and you see errors. I have some errors here. I'm 100% sure this related with the static and dynamic network. So try this under no connection. Either way, you have to create your nodes, cluster node, other nodes under no connection. After you download your operating system, you don't need to have any network with the virtual machine because there is a conflict and it doesn't go as you like, as you want, or as you plan it to go. So it is better to try this under no connection. I will show you the next step with the validation successful validation.